What's going on, everybody? This is Travis Witherspoon from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is a night session of Trade with Travis. Hopefully, everybody's doing very well on this evening. Hopefully, everybody end up making some money based off of the movements that we ended up talking about yesterday. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Um, I know when we took the trades and everything else, if you was up, I want to say if you was up right around 5 a.m. my time, um, which is basically I guess yeah, 5 o'clock, 24-hour time, whatever that may end up being. You would have seen that we was up almost 200 points between all three pairs that we ended up getting into. I literally ended up seeing that, and then at 6 o'clock, I ended up getting a beep on my systems, which meant that everything moved to break even just that quick. So literally within a 15-minute span, I went from being up 600 points between three pairs to being almost at break even when it came down to some of those. So that kind of sucked, but that's trading. Sometimes that actually happens. Um, but um, ultimately end up having a pretty good day at the end of the day. My automation systems actually end up catching some trades that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to because I think I ended up saying it in the morning session that I wasn't necessarily too keen to be able to jump inside of any type of trades today, just based off of what I was seeing, because the market actually ended up falling down to be able to go back inside of a consolidation node. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the markets. Let's see what we have for its overall trading opportunities, and then after that, we can be able to see what's actually going on overall. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it is not promised that you end up making money today. Um, so let's see. I want to make sure that I just put this onto the screen so everybody can be able to see it. Bam, bam. There we go. So let's talk about what ended up happening on the economic calendar, and I still don't have an answer of why the market ended up making that 200-point move just like that. All that just means is that some people had information that I just didn't have, or if we take a look at it, what probably ended up happening was there was a high volume node that probably ended up getting hit that we just couldn't see from a historical perspective because the market hasn't been this low in the last 2 years that we end up getting caught up on. And I wish I would have found that out because I would have loved to be able to get those 600 points and just moved on. But we ended up going from there. So earlier today, President Gard ended up speaking. Chair Powell ended up speaking. I don't. He moved the market to the upside for whatever it's worth, and we end up having pretty much a trader stay from there. Going into tomorrow, tomorrow's going to end up being another trader stay. We're going to end up having a Bank of Japan. Oh, I'm sorry, Germany's going to end up having their index of consumer prices, and the United States dollar is going to end up having its GDP annualized 8:30 a.m. Other than that, there's really not going to be a lot of news going into our last sessions on Thursday, and being able to go from there. Now, I want to talk about some of the trades that end up happening, some of the movements that end up happening, how we can be able to react off of these movements if you haven't took a trade yet, and uh, just kind of briefly go through those overall examples. I am going to ask for one. I'm going to end up asking for about 3 minutes for me to be able to run and do something real quick to allow my to be able to put my boys to sleep. It won't take long. I just got to make sure that I end up saying the prayer. I always make sure I end up doing that. It's just one of my deals. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has their own thing, but I want to make sure they end up doing that. So uh, let me get through that real quick, but I'm going to get everything set up. Everybody else that's watching online live, one, thank you for being able to pop on. For the first time watchers and everything else like that, I do appreciate that. We will get started in one quick second. All right, I'm going to take myself off the screen real quick. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Block, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. Hey, did you take any trades from after this morning? Did you take any trades after this morning? I know I talked about that I probably wasn't interested in being able to take any trades until we end up figuring out what was actually happening. And obviously, what happened was that the market ended up having a U-turn. So uh, I'm actually kind of happy that I ended up spotting out everything earlier this morning. Just gone ahead and taking a break even uh, loss. I call a break even trade a loss uh, position compared to actually taking a full percentage loss. Let's see. So here we go. Let me put myself back on the screen. So, oh jeez. Okay, I need to fix this up real quick. That is going to bother the heck out of me. Here we go. Yeah, we're getting some of the losses from yesterday. Today. Nice. Good. There we go. Perfect. Um, so what ended up happening? Let's talk about with Nas 100. Nas 100 fell all the way down to that first take profit that I ended up talking about yesterday. Um, I say I took a sell on gold at 1600 uh, before market close. What's going on, Tran? I need to make sure I send over those settings to you. I make sure I end up sending that over to you as soon as we end up getting done with this. As soon as we end up getting done with this. Um, let's see. But you just did it as a scout. Perfect. Okay, cool. Um, from a 1 hour perspective, what ended up happening was this: market ended up breaking below our entry point at 11,190. Once it ended up falling, I ended up talking about 11,100, and I ended up talking about 10,990. I ended up saying that I felt like the market had a little bit more steam to be able to push below and keep on going to the 10,990 number. And essentially, what ended up happening was that it hit basically that initial take profit that I talked about 2 days before and popped right back up. So was off on that number, but was able to get some partial profit when the market actually ended up popping up to the upside just a little bit. As soon as the market went back inside of consolidation, I ended up saying that I was not interested in being able to take the trade. I ended up having that pending order that we talked about when the market ended up popping up to the upside at 11,440 in. And currently, right now, I end up taking profit. I end up taking profit on that one right before the market closed. Right when the market ended up hitting, I think it was like 11,520. So currently, right now, what is happening? The market is basically um, starting to give a continuation type of movement. And with the thought process, I would say that the market could possibly start to be able to keep on pushing up to the upside. Keep this in mind. When we take a look at the big three, we always talk about the United States dollar index first. The reason why we talk about the United States dollar index is because that if the United States dollar index is getting stronger, then most index pairs end up getting weak. Now, with the United States dollar index getting weak, then we should see that the index pairs US 30, NAS 100, XPX 500, they should start to get strong. Now, with this market having this breakout of this consolidation area, I do expect that we should get some type of retest. Remember, anytime that there's a breakout, typically there will be a retest that will happen. So, breakout, I'm thinking that we'll probably end up getting a retest of this overall area, and then after that, we'll probably see a movement to the upside. If it breaks below 11,436 and stays back inside that consolidation area, then I would not consider taking a trade. If it does bounce off and you can see a counter trend line break to the upside, then I will look at being able to take a buy with the same stop loss parameters as the original trade off of that movement. Type in a Y or yes if that makes sense. Currently, right now, I would not do anything until we get confirmation of a counter trend line break to the upside. So I'm going to go ahead and set this alert. Be once per bar closed because I want it to fully close. I don't want to keep on just getting random beeps if it's not there. Then after that, we'll look for a NAS 100 counter trend line break buy. Okay, so that is what I'm looking for when it comes down to that movement. All right, let's go XPX 500. XPX 500 did the same thing. Remember, we ended up talking about this buy trade legitimately 2 days ago. Market ended up popping back up to the upside. I'm glad I had these pending orders in because I would have never took them. Um, Market ended up popping up, ended up giving us a strong move to the upside. There was a take profit position at 37.48 that was expected to be hit. I seen when the market kind of tailed off at 4. I just went and just took profit off of it because I started seeing this long wick of candlestick movement to be able to start pushing back. But same rules apply. 15-minute, we have our resistance point. Look for a counter trend line break based off of that movement. As long as the market stays above that overall area, then you have a better chance of being able to get in off of that movement, basically at the starting position of where we were. Okay, so it'll be the same rules when it comes down to that. Now, what you're going to see is we're going to see that same thing with pretty much every pair aside from DAX, because DAX hasn't moved yet to be able to make that same movement at this particular point. So US 30, we hop in, we take a look at that chart, see what's going on. US 30 had the biggest movement of today, and typically it does anyway when it comes down to most movements like this. The market, the last time we ended up taking a look at it, so remember we ended up getting in at 29,240. Some people end up getting in right around that 29,670 number if you didn't pay attention to that. Pay attention to this market making a U-turn and basically spooking you out. But when we got in yesterday, we ended up getting in based off of this candlestick right here. Market fell down. Market fell down about 300 points to the downside. And legitimately, what's funny is I seen it off of that candlestick right there, that red candlestick right there. I felt like the market was going to continue pushing based off of that. Got into the shower. As soon as I got into the shower, 15 minutes later, boop, popped right back up, and went up 200 points based off of that movement. And then after that, settled a little bit, gave us another chance, and basically just retest that move and retested the VWAP and the moving average. And then after that, pretty much all today, the market ended up having a very good move to the upside. It's an 800-point move overall. I did not take any trade off of this pair based off of that movement because it was basically back inside of this consolidation area. So one thing that I will say is this, and I want to make sure that I'm being very clear. I don't consider this to be a large consolidation box, meaning that we have this large consolidation at 29,661, and now the support is at 28,900. I don't consider that to be one. I consider this to be a separate consolidation, and I consider that to be a separate consolidation. The only difference is that there really wasn't no free run area to be able to move off of based off of new information. So I still would look at being able to take a look at the counter trend line break to the upside, but currently right now there's really no move to be able to take off of this movement yet. Question: do you reload your trades after take profit is reached to try to reload the trade or try to hit your entry again? Okay, question: do you ever reload trades after take profit target is reached, but when it hits your entry again and reload that trade? No, I don't. So once the trade is over with, I stop it. If I won the trade, if I've lost the trade, then I automatically re-enter. So to give you an example, let's say hypothetically, if we end up this trade that we end up taking right here, if this trade at 29,260 end up falling to the downside and putting us in profit, maybe about 60 or 70 points, and then automatically went back up to the upside, and I know that when it goes back inside of the consolidation, let's say if it got back into the consolidation at this point, and I have my stop loss here, I will automatically exit the trade right there. The reason why I will automatically exit the trade right there is because I don't want to give away my full 100% move. But I also end up knowing that if this market does reject right back off of these resistance levels, then the area where it fell down before, that vortex area, is in the same spot. So I'm still just going to place the same trade in with the same stop loss and everything else, with the thought process that the market, when it does fall, it will fall finally in my direction from there. So I do reload the trade when that happens. But if I already hit the take profit value, then that trade is over with, in my personal opinion. Good question. Hopefully that made sense though. So US 30, no trade to be able to take. I actually like Nas 100 a little bit better based off of what I just showed y'all, off of that movement. But looking for a counter trend line break to the upside. We'll see what happens based off of that. Uh, wouldn't look at jumping in too quick, but I'll wait for the bar to be able to close above, and then after that, uh, we'll see what happens. Um, let's see. Last one that I'm particularly interested in would be DAX. Um, so let's take a look at that one. Is there any pairs that y'all would like for me to be able to take a look at? Um, and we'll kind of go from there. Let's see. I'm going to take my camera off real quick. Okay, so German 40. What ended up happening, same deal. Got placed inside of a trade, market ended up falling. Um, Super excited about this move. I thought that we were going to end up getting way more of it, but it was still a 300-point move to the downside. When I ended up seeing the market pop back up, legitimately on this pair, I seen it pop up right there. I got caught right there. So I was able to get some of the movement. I didn't get all of it. Um, this was the one that I actually made the most off of when the market actually ended up falling down to the downside. And currently, when the market ended up making that U-turn, essentially what it did was make an ABCD pattern, kind of like what my guy L Tran ends up doing all the time. A, B, C, and then after that, bam, bam, the market ended up making its movement and completing a de-extension to the upside right there. Currently, right now, it's inside of this consolidation area that we ended up talking about earlier. That means to me that there's no trading that we should be doing at this particular point in time until the market kind of figures out itself. Right now, there's no consolidation block. It's actually inside of this consolidation block again. So there's no trade to be able to take on this one. So the only trade that I would be very much interested in this session is actually going to end up being very quick. To be honest, uh, will probably end up being what happens with Nas, but I actually kind of hope that the market falls down a little bit more because it rushed up so fast. It will have to be able to have a little bit of a rejection first, or a little bit of a retracement first before being able to pop in. So I still am going to be a little bit more conservative on this move before truly being able to decide to be able to get in, and kind of go from there. Uh, so that's the pairs that I have. That's the pairs that I end up particularly looking at. Um, I'm going to open up the floor to if there's a trade that anybody is interested in. Um, and if there's no trades that anybody is interested in, then what I end up doing is I just go ahead and get some chow in my, go and get some, go and get some food because I haven't ate anything yet. And then we'll just look at it in the morning. Let's see. But if there's a pair that y'all would like for me to be able to take a look at, let's go and take a look at it now. Definitely. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. L Trap, this is the field retracements and um, levels that I use. L Trap, that is the field retracements and levels that I use for my field retracement and extension tool. Remember, I use Smart Trade as a way of being able to look at my retracements and extensions. This is the equivalent of those numbers. If you're still here, I'm going to keep that up just for a little bit. But I don't think we're gonna end up getting a major move tonight. I just don't see that. We ran up 700 points up to the upside. The market has to be able to retrace just a little bit, but I do expect that we will see some bullish movement going into tomorrow and then going into the beginning of the month. Remember, uh, we're in a push quarter. We're in quarter number 4 in October, and I'm pretty sure we're going to start to see that um, all of the movement that the United States dollar ended up doing from legitimately June all the way to legitimately May to where we are right now. I think that some of that move is going to end up being retraced off of most pairs. We can see it early. We can see it earlier today in most forex pairs. Um, so, um, so I do think that the United States dollar are going to start to get a little bit weak, and most pairs are going to start to get a little bit better when it comes down to that. Which means that when we take a look at what's happening with NAS and US 30 and XPX and a few other pairs like that, we'll start to see they start to gain value again. Uh, ultimately, uh, ultimately, these pairs have been getting their ass kicked pretty much for most of it. So we'll probably end up seeing that it will start to pop up and start making its U-turns back up to the upside. Okay. All right. So with that being said, this one will be a relatively short one compared to the ones that we have been doing in a while. But uh, if you like what we end up doing, make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. It'll really end up helping out. I truly appreciate everyone that has been talking to us, has been going and following everything that we've been doing. I think that we end up having ultimately we've had a very good September. Um, hell, we had a very good June. Hell, we had a very good July as well. uh, total two. Also, if you have time, um, total two. Total two. What is total two? Oh, there's total two. I see total two. Huh? What is that? Crypto market cap excluded Bitcoin. Am I looking at the right thing? Is that it right there? Am I looking at the total market cap? Is that what you asked me to take a look at? So it's basically like an index of everything. Let me know if I'm taking a look at the right thing, block before I take a look at before I kind of move forward. Yeah, let me know if I'm looking at the right thing before. Okay, cool. So take a look at it like this: Havive node, Havive node, Havive node, Havive node, free space, free space, free space. That's the areas that we were looking at being able to take advantage of, right? So essentially, what ended up happening is basically this: consolidation, huge breakout to the downside, consolidation, huge breakout to the downside, consolidation. I cannot make this up. This is how simple sometimes this can be. Huge breakout to the downside, larger consolidation that's being built out currently right now, which means that there's a lot of accumulation at this particular portion that is happening, and well, there is a major breakout that's about to happen at some point in time. I don't think that the market's going to continue to fall the way that it's doing, but ultimately, from a total market cap perspective, when the market, I'm not going to say if, but when the market actually ends up breaking out of, um, it already broke out one time, so it fulfilled this little small area right here. But as soon as the market ends up breaking out of, I'm going to say just to be safe, uh, as soon as the market ends up breaking out of 540 again, then it has a good chance of being able to make this big run back up to the upside and at least attack 567. Now, once it hits 567, obviously every pair, including Bitcoin, including all the altcoins and everything else like that, are going to end up benefiting from that movement. So ultimately, if we're taking a look at it from a total market cap perspective, I would personally hope that the market falls down and hits support one more time. So now you can be able to collect on any coins or any projects that you would like to be able to get into. If we're not at that point right now anymore, then you damn sure better be able to catch it right at 540. Because if you catch it, if you look at the total market cap and the total market cap is over 540, then it's going to end up going, and everything else is going to end up rolling with it. Now, keep in mind, typically in October, that's when it typically happens with most pairs. Uh, and that's with Forex, that's with indices, that's with anything else like that, because for some reason, there's way more money that hops inside of the market when that happens. Just keep that in mind. Anything above 540 will end up basically making everything go very well based off of that movement. Um, and essentially, what will happen is that it will basically do the same things. It will go up. We end up having a big push. Probably end up having some consolidation that will end up happening. It will end up making another big push right back up to here, and then after that, it will consolidate one more time. Legitimately, I'm gonna leave this up here just like this. I'm not gonna touch anything off of this, and I want to see if that's gonna end up being somewhat correct. Now, if the market falls, then obviously we'll end up making new lower lows, and then obviously we have to go back with information that we haven't seen in a while, right? Total market cap could be able to fall all the way down to this point. We have this movement to the downside, but if it does go and breaks 540, then well, we should see that U-turn to start being able to push back up, and we have a lot of runners that we'll be able to go after. So, kind of like what we end up talking about with XRP, I'll be interested in being able to get into XRP once it ends up breaking out of that area based off of what I'm looking at right here, and then after that, truly making a big run and going from there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night from here. I really appreciate everybody end up popping in. We end up doing 30 minutes still, so there we go. Uh, end up hitting that time, and just kind of going from there. But like always, make sure that y'all end up planning your trade and trading your plan. Make sure you end up clicking on that boost button. I'll see each and every one of y'all in the morning. Remember, Thursday morning is the last morning session. Thursday night is the last night session of every session that we end up doing from here. Everyone, I'll see y'all a little bit later on, and hopefully you end up having a good trading day. Take it easy.